Hey guys, what's up? Sando here. And today I'll be testing probably the most discussed headphone in cozy Planar Mafia meetings. Its name causes fear and agony to Planar headphone makers. It's called Gold Planar GL2000, and before you ask, these are the dual-sided magnet version. They picked up my interest quite badly as of late. I simply needed to check them out for myself, and I'm really glad I did. But are they worth it? That's the question, that's the big question. Let's check that out and break it down step by step. We are dealing here with a huge looking, fully open back planar magnetic headphone that uses plenty of metallic parts, leather and pleather, with very little plastics. I find them extremely pleasing to the eyes. Those huge looking ear caps are drawing plenty of attention. The yokes are made out of aerospace grade aluminum, and so are its headband holders. The headband itself is the softest I've experienced with headphones, and it is comfortable long term. It looks like eco leather to me, which should resist plenty of use and abuse, and the only plastic parts are the ear caps themselves. Those are warm to the touch compared to the cold yokes, confirming my findings. Overall, I find them sleek and elegant looking, not too flashy, with just the right amount of bling. The cable itself seems to be handmade. It uses high purity OCC, silver-plated conductors, and there is really no point in changing it with something better. In their stead, I would replace that 4.4mm jack with a 4-pin XLR, since GL2000 is marketed as a desktop headphone to be used mostly at home. As for comfort, the weight distribution seems to be even. There is little to no pressure around my ears, so its heftier weight of 530 grams doesn't bother me at all. The earpads are deep, soft, and are padded with plenty of memory foam. I find them gentle on the cheeks and soft enough to be used in long listening sessions. The earpads themselves are huge and will keep even elven ears inside. As for the tech inside them, these are open-back planar headphones having a very high sensitivity of 99 dB per 1 mW of power. At 100 mm they have some of the biggest planar drivers out there, plus a double-sided magnet structure in a push-pull configuration is always nice to see. The price difference between the single-sided and double-sided magnet is not that huge, but the increase in sensitivity is quite big, and I expect a much better drive and dynamics with double-sided version. GL2000 will be leaking a great deal of noise outside its cups, so it should be used mostly at your listening battle station. Okay everyone, let's hit some eardrums! As for the sound performance, I have been chasing for bigger and bigger drivers in my loudspeakers my entire life. So when I had them at 5-inch, I wanted them at 7-inch, and when I had them at 7, I wanted them at 8-inch, and when I had them at 8-inch, I wanted already to move to stand-floor speakers, so I could better fill that room, my room, with sounds to feel the low-end delivery and of course that chest-pounding impact. And of course the same can be said about headphones, so you want the drivers as big, as wide and as tall as possible. Luckily, GL2000 has one of the biggest drivers out there in the headphone kingdom, so 100mm tall, that's quite impressive. So even without any kind of burning, it was very obvious from the start that GL2000 is hitting me with that wall of sound, so very big, that is simply surrounding my entire head. So the sound staging capabilities of GL2000 is absolutely incredible. So I find them easily in the top 4 in my entire headphone collection, or everything that I have tested as of late. While this is not the widest sound that I have experienced with headphones, I still think that Gold Planar GL2000 is one of the widest sounding headphones that I've experienced so far. So its sound staging capabilities is indeed very impressive. I also like that Gold Planar planted an amazing tonality in here, so I find its bass delivery quite spectacular, quite impressive. Especially with the leather earpads, not so much with the perforated hybrid earpads, those are so-so in terms of bass. Also like that its mid-range is fuller, so meatier, compared to Hifiman, for example. It's somewhere between Hifiman mid-range and Odyssey mid-range, if that makes any sense to you. So I still find it quite warm and smooth sounding, so voices are always guttural and soul-grabbing. I also like that the treble performance is extended, so very detailed, very transparent, but it is unoffensive, so not that bright sounding at all. Less bright compared to Hifiman Arya, for example. I also think that its detail retrieval shouldn't be banned at this price point, so I find them almost on the same level with the Hifiman Arya, which tells already a lot how I feel about them in terms of transparency and details. I can complain only if I'm using them with perforated earpads, which are scaring away the sub bass and raising the treble by about 4 dB. Making them a little bit brighter sounding, so a little bit harsher sounding. But going back to leather pads, everything returns back to normal. That signature planar bass is back in full force, hitting like a hammer, with the right amplifier of course, and unearthing an illegal amount of details from your tunes. There is something truly special that I want to mention about the GL2000, and that is their incredibly high sensitivity, by Planar Mafia standards of course. So at 99 dB per 1 mW of power, these are pretty much one of the easiest to drive planars there are, or that I've tried so far. So according to the benchmark HP and to the microphones inside the mini DSP ear system, this will need 8 dB less compared to the Hifiman Arya, about 9 dB less compared to the Odyssey LCD4, so that is 3 times less power compared to that one, and by 29 dB more efficient compared to the Hifiman Susvara, and in return Kenerton Wodan is by about 1 dB more efficient compared to the GL2000. So of course that is a very big deal, because you really don't need the biggest, the meanest, the most expensive desktop headphone amplifier to drive this to very loud levels, to deafening levels. While I don't recommend those small Bluetooth dongles with any planar headphones, those small things, I think that any portable DAC amp or maybe a portable digital audio player would work absolutely great with something like this. So Kenerton Wodan together with GL2000 are pretty much the easiest to drive planar headphones there are, and you really don't need desktop power to move them at very loud levels, deafening levels even. So I personally enjoyed them the most out of Class A amplifiers. Those sounded the best to me, followed by a hybrid amp and then by several NFCA and THX based amplifiers. Having some huge drivers inside, some huge magnets that are working in a push-pull configuration, and of course a very high sensitivity, can equal only one thing, and that is an amazing transit response, and not only in terms of speed but also in terms of sheer slam and impact. And if you want the best transit response, you should simply stay away from those perforated hybrid earpads. I think that the leather earpads are fully preserving its sub bass and its bass performance, and of course its slam and impact. So yes, I've heard better bass renditions, I've heard deeper and more visceral bass, but sadly not at this price point, at a much higher price point. And yes, I've still heard those 20 Hz notes loud and clear with the GL2000. They still pound like a drunk berserker entering its furious state. With the right amp, GL2000 shown a close to perfect transit response, so they were always nimble, fast sounding, and also quite visceral and punched with incredible force. Their high sensitivity and also plays a key role in here in sounding fast and punchy, and they are sounding that way not only with desktop power but also with portable devices as well. So this worked equally well with faster paced music and also with slower paced music, but I feel that they truly shine with faster tunes that are full with sub and mid bass tones. In terms of soundstage and scale, an open back planar with some huge drivers and of course with some deeper earpads can mean only one thing, and that is a huge wall of sound. So with them I feel that the sounds are going past my shoulder level, and mind you, not very often I'm experiencing that with headphones. It's almost on the same level with something like a Hifiman Arya, which I find pretty amazing. It's almost as airy and grand sounding. So my favorite headphones are all open back headphones, and I think that GL2000 is easily in the top 4 when it comes to soundstage size and scale. With them I can easily focus my attention on all the sounds that I want to hear and simply discard all other sounds that are not important to me. So the empty spaces between the musical notes are simply bigger in size, and the crowded passages are not troublesome anymore, even with less than perfect recordings. And if you enjoy a larger than usual soundstage size, then GL2000 can easily provide that to you. And if you want to further increase it, a tube-based amplifier will give you a helping hand. As for detail retrieval, I find them quite transparent and clean sounding. I can look deeper into my tracks without closing my eyes or without straining my hearing too much. They are showing me also a higher degree of details even compared to much pricier headphones. So, for example, Odyssey LCD4 don't stand a chance versus this in terms of details. Also, Quad Era 1 are not that clean and transparent sounding. And sincerely, there isn't that much of a difference even compared to much pricier headphones like Hifiman Arya or Kenerton Wodan. GL2000 is simply a clean sounding unit, so I'm pretty sure that its very good treble performance always adds a layer of information that works as a huge magnifying glass for your tunes. With audiophile-proof music, it was drawing my attention towards the smallest details so very easily. So I could easily hear those chat in the auditorium, those feet movements, K hits, pedal presses, air traveling freely around, and trombone players inhaling air just before their turn. So all that came quite natural to me, and I didn't need to close my eyes and stress myself too much. Moving on to its frequency response, GL2000 can be described as having a close to perfect sub-bass performance. Just a few dBs are missing from 20 to 30 Hz, so I can't call them perfect in here in the sub-bass. But still there is plenty of driver movement even at 20 Hz, so Limit to Your Love by James Blake still is sending shivers through my spine. And of course Guitar Mass by Infected Mushroom is always super engaging, head banging, so very impressive. I think that it has the right amount of weight to that bass, so it moves plenty of air down low, so that slam and punch wouldn't be affected in a bad way. Mid bass is always strong. I find it linear and straight as a line, so it's controlled and decays at the right time. I find its mid-range performance fuller sounding to any Hifiman headphones, not only to Arya but to any other Hifiman headphone, and a little bit less impressive compared to Kenerton and to Odyssey headphones. So it's somewhere in the middle, so not too wet nor too thin sounding, somewhere at the middle. So there is definitely a little bit more warmth in here, so I don't hear deviations from linearity curves, and the upper mid-range starts descending at about 2 kHz, making female voices less sibilant and less present in my tunes. As for treble, the most sensitive part of our hearing, somewhere between 4 and 7 kHz, is just a little bit calmer, so it's rolled off by a little, putting just a higher accent on everything else, and by that I mean on higher treble and of course on the top octave. So overall I find the treble clean, transparent and detailed, but without the sharpness and brightness in the most crucial parts of our hearing. So perforated earpads are elevating the treble performance by about 4 dB, increasing the treble presence quite a lot and making them appear as a little bit brighter and harder to swallow in long listening sessions. I have also measured their performance using a mini DSP ear system, so everything from frequency response, total harmonic distortion, spectral decay, waterfall and spectrogram. But since I don't like long and boring reviews, I strongly recommend checking my measurement analysis in the written review that I've put below. You will also find a must-read comparison with the Hifiman Arya, which I find super duper interesting. Please check all that goodness below, it's worth your time. As for the conclusions, I really don't want to hype things that don't deserve it, but I truly think that GL2000 is worth the full asking price, there is no question about it. I specifically didn't want to compare them with a lot of high-end headphones because I'll be cutting down the tall poppies, too many tall poppies, if you know what I mean. There are only several headphones that can be considered as must-own headphones at their respective price points, and I truly believe that GL2000 can be added to that list pretty easily. And if you love your bass impactful and hard slamming, your mid-range dense and full-bodied, your treble clean and detailed without being offensive, then GL2000 is a very easy recommendation to make. Gold award it is, and it's fully deserved. I really like how headphone market starts to shift, and I wish more companies would release great sounding headphones at affordable prices. Okay guys, my full in-depth review can be found on my website. In case you want to support this channel, please subscribe to it, and as usual, listen to my music. Be positive, and I'll see you next time. Cheers! Bye bye!